turn analysis that needed to be done on the fire road that was provided to Deputy Chief Clancy, and as well as their concern of getting water to the rear of the building. So there may actually be a dry standpipe that is designed to go along the property that can be charged up in the event that water needs to get to the back of the building.
Thank you.
Yep. So once that's finalized, we'll also send that to Commodore Builders so that they need to update their pricing, if there is any, with their site contractor. So like I said, we have our budget meeting tomorrow. The one question I did have for the PMBC is one of the first things, optimistically, if we're able to get going in the next few weeks, I know one of the first things they're going to be needing is temporary power. We've been working with Littleton Light, and I know one of their requirements is going to be that they need to be paid to get in the schedule. They've been told me that their turnaround has been quick. With the current climate, they'll be able to get out on site quickly. But should I direct an invoice to the PMBC, I'll review it myself so that once we do deem this project a go, that could be one of the first orders of business.
Yeah, Brian, why don't you just send that invoice over? I'll queue that up with finance, and at least they'll have it in their court. So
right
when you give the go ahead.
Yeah, I want to kind of make the invoice contingent upon the town approval for the project. I'd hate to see them do some temporary power for no reason.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay. Any other library questions that we have? We're hoping to have some good progress tomorrow at 5, and we're working with both Johnson Roberts, Commodore, Vertex, and the library trustees to get this number to town in the next week.
I'm good.
Okay. Secondly, to our police, we received and apologize for the slow movement on this one. It's been like a glacier, but the proposal from CBI in order to get construction documents and construction administration came in last week before the long weekend. We asked them to provide a further breakdown of their labor, of what they deem a full encompassing of this work, including the alternates that they put added fees on for. We got that late this morning. I've been going through. I've actually sent it to my superiors as well to go through it. And Steve, I have a few comments on it already. So I was thinking maybe if you had any time in between meetings tomorrow, we can talk and then we can discuss how we want to go if comfortable with the hours that they've put on for their proposal.
Yeah, I think I'm free around 11:30. But was I copied on that? Because I didn't see it.
I forwarded it to you about an hour ago.
Ah, okay. I haven't seen it.
Yep. So that scope of services would be for the design of the new facade, as well as all the construction administration through punch list for construction. The question I do have for you is the budget finalizing for that work, Steve. When does that need to be to you guys by?
Well, we can't issue a notice to proceed to CBI before May 10 or June 10 meeting. So, yep. I'd say in the next week or so.
Okay. All right. So I'll prioritize that so we can talk about that tomorrow, yep. And we can deem if we want to go forward with that number that's been earmarked for that, so that we can give them the notice to proceed once town meeting happens.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else on police station?
At this point, I do not have anything. Like I said, I'll go through those numbers. I'll send out to you and Bob, and you guys can distribute it to whoever else. So I can send it to the whole PMBC, and we can show where their breakdown's coming from, and where maybe some suggestions on sharpening their pencil.
Yeah, include Brian on that also.
For sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Anything
Houghton
else?
Building. No, that's it. Thank
All
you.
right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Houghton
Brian.
Building interior repairs are completed. The Board of Selectmen has voted to approve a settlement agreement because the contract was not valid. So that was approved last Monday. So as far as I know, that's complete. So I see Carolyn's on the phone. Do you have any comments, Carolyn?
No, I don't. I think he's got maybe another 5 to 7 hours to do some cleanup and some touch-up before he's actually completely done.
Okay. Thanks very much.
I thank you.
So also on the Houghton Building, Rich had submitted a claim to the insurance company for the roof and the interior work. The total sum for that work was about $40,000. We have a $10,000 deductible, so we are getting a check cut to the town for about $30,000. So that's great news.
Did anything come of the damage that the inspector saw? Or not the inspector, but the insurance guy saw?
You know, I don't know what he saw, and Rich connected with him, and I don't know if there was any resolution to that, or if he really was very definitive in what he was talking about.
Okay.
So my short answer is I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe I'll talk to Richard, to the guy then.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that with all this painting that we're really okay.
Yeah, understood.
Thank you.
DPW roof repairs. I reached out to Chris Stoddard. Did not get a response. The last that we knew, the contractor had submitted a delay claim for COVID-19. Chris was okay with a little bit of delay, but I don't know what this situation is at the moment, or what the ultimate delay is on the roof. So stay tuned for that. LYBS lights at Shaker Lane. Brian, do you want to give us an update?
Sure. Yep. So I've gotten some numbers out of from an excavator and from electrician to do the install. Put those together and sent them over to Dan at Littleton Youth Baseball and Softball. The electrical number I just got earlier this afternoon, so he hasn't had long to digest that. But I just asked him to take a look at what we had and kind of let us know what his thoughts were regarding schedule moving forward, based on the numbers we have in.
And you're in conversation with town council?
Yeah, I had a call with Jenny and with Joe earlier today. Unfortunately, it seems like a little bit of a gray area. There was no real kind of definitive answer to that question regarding. Dan wants to buy the lighting and the control components now because the grant is part of a tied to fiscal year 2020 budget. He believes from talking to the state rep that awarded the grant that it's just a matter of they can spend the money how they wish, and they can turn in the invoices at the end of the day. Jenny was not 100% sure about that enough to give the thumbs up and say, yes, go buy it. So the way it was left is Dan is going to go back and, she suggested that he revisit it with the politicians that gifted the grant and get their confirmation that this doesn't have to go through any sort of public bidding process.
Okay. Hey, Daryl, do you have any input on that?
No, I was actually not expecting much to be happening with this based on the previous couple of meeting discussions there. you know, I guess I just don't know who was the grant to them or was it to the town for?
Grant was to Littleton youth baseball and softball and not to the town. So that was kind of Jenny's point, or part of Jenny's point was that she doesn't think that the town or us as a committee have much skin in the game as far as awarding the lighting, strictly the lighting contract to buy the material. So she kind of felt it was worth deferring to the politicians that made the award, because it's it's money on,
because they can't actually execute the project.
but we're not talking about executing the project. We're just talking about procuring the material.
But even if they procure it, then they're responsible for storage and maintaining its integrity until the project actually happens.
Yep.
And do they store that on school property? Where do they store it?
I don't want schools to have any liability of that until the project is, I'm not having the schools take responsibility if something happens to that equipment after it's been procured.
Right.
Right. And his intent is that he would just procure it and have it stored at keep it stored at a Musco facility and not take receipt of it.
So is he paying our storage charge on it?
I don't know, and I don't know that that's even our purview.
Well, true enough. Yeah. Well, more to come, huh?
Yeah. So unfortunately it's muddy on multiple levels because it's a state grant, but it's not purely a state grant. It's also combined with their private fundraising that would be procuring these lights, and so that I haven't been able to get a clear answer about that. But the way it was left, like I said, is Dan's going to go back to the state rep and get some clarification on the stipulations around how they spend that money.
Okay. All right. So an update at the next meeting, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. Next order of business is to vote on the town meeting articles, which the Pmbc has some interest in. First one is Article 8, which would allow the transfer of the unused balance of $1.5 million from design to construction at the library. This was it was a budget. $1.5 million was a budget. We didn't use it all. So we've asked that it go back to construction. The Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee have voted in favor, and I just wanted to I'd like to have this board officially vote in favor, or let me rephrase that. I'd like to have this committee vote on the article. So do I have a motion to recommend the transfer of the balance of the $1.5 million for design to construction?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Bob Rumley, yes.
Darrell Baker, yes.
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Pasquale.
Steve Moore, yes. Okay, and the next article is Article 16 to provide $500,000 for the repair of the police station. This is something that we've been working on for a while, and that's a budget that we came up with last year. It's probably not enough to do the entire project, but we can put the bid out for the bulk of the work and then add some alternates. So this is the first step, and I'd like to have a motion to approve or recommend approval of the $500,000 for the police station repair work.
So moved.
I second it.
All in favor?
Bob Rumley, yes.
Darrell Baker, yes.
Mike Scuduto, yes.
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Steve Moore, yes. And that's everything that's on the agenda. Is there any member input?
Bob Rumley's all set.
None from me, Darrell.
Mike Scuduto is all set.
Brian Pasquale, I'm all set.
Steve Moore, no comment. So that concludes the business for this evening. Appreciate your involvement and participation. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Steve, the next meeting, another Zoom meeting?
Probably to be determined.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Bob Rumley, yes.
Darrell Baker, yes.
Mike Scuduto, yes.
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Steve Moore, yes. Thanks very much and have a great evening.
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.